The guests could hardly believe their eyes. In the middle of Naomi Snowbell's wedding, a man unexpectedly burst into the church, riding a horse. The shock was immediate, and people glanced at each other in disbelief. Who would dare to do such a thing? Naomi, the bride, stood frozen, too stunned to react. In one swift and surprising move, the mysterious man grabbed her arm and lifted her onto the horse with him. And just as quickly as he had arrived, he rode off, taking the bride with him. That was the highlight of her wedding day. But let's rewind a bit, to before all of this happened. A gentle breeze made the trees sway as Naomi wandered through her garden. The day was bright and sunny, but the sad memories of the past still weighed heavily on her heart. She was about to marry Michael Demi, a kind man, but one who could never truly win her heart. Her heart had belonged to someone else for a long time. Lost in thought, Naomi suddenly heard a familiar voice calling her name. When she turned, her heart nearly stopped. It was Taylor Savan, the love of her youth, standing before her. They had loved each other since they were teenagers, but the brave Taylor had been taken by the Royal Guard to fight in the war. They slowly moved closer, the tension between them palpable. In that moment, nothing else seemed to matter. Naomi's gaze held a deep sadness, as if the weight of the world rested on her shoulders. I came back, just as I promised. I arrived in town today and heard you're getting married to someone else. Is it true? You said you would wait for me. I can't believe I'm going to lose you again, Taylor said, breaking the heavy silence between them. Naomi looked away, fighting back tears. It's too late, Taylor. My wedding is in a few weeks. I tried everything to escape, but my parents told me you had died in the war and forced me to accept the engagement with Michael. The days after that encounter passed slowly. Taylor did everything he could to convince Naomi to break off the engagement, but she kept insisting she couldn't disobey her parents. Taylor couldn't stop thinking about her, and the pain of imagining Naomi marrying someone else consumed him more and more. Taylor decided he had to try one last time. Convincing Naomi to call off the wedding seemed impossible, but he couldn't bear the weight of never having tried. They met in the small garden where Naomi often walked on summer afternoons. The moment she felt Taylor's presence, she knew she wouldn't have the strength to send him away. Even after all this time, she still loved him, and that scared her. Naomi, please don't marry him. I know you don't love him, Taylor said, kneeling and taking her hands. I can't, Taylor. I can't dishonor my family. They expect me to marry Michael, Naomi said, her voice trembling as she avoided his gaze. And us? What about what we feel? Taylor lifted her chin, forcing her to look at him. We had our chance, but we can't go back, Naomi replied, stepping away, trying to protect her heart from the pain she knew was coming. Taylor felt a surge of desperation. He couldn't lose her again, not now that she was so close. But as he saw the resolve in her eyes, he understood that words wouldn't be enough. The day of the wedding came faster than Taylor expected. He spent the night awake, tormented by thoughts that haunted him. The image of Naomi, dressed as a bride, in the arms of another man, was unbearable. While everyone prepared for the ceremony, Taylor made a decision that would change everything. He couldn't simply watch the love of his life marry someone else. With a bold idea in mind, Taylor mounted his horse and rode toward the church. The ceremony had already started when he made his dramatic entrance. The doors flew open with a loud bang, and everyone in the church turned to look at him. Naomi, standing at the altar, froze in surprise. Before anyone could react, Taylor swept her into his arms and ran out with her. What are you doing? Naomi shouted, her heart racing. I'm doing what I should have done long ago, he replied firmly. Without giving her time to respond, Taylor galloped away, leaving everything behind. The wind was strong, but in Taylor's arms, Naomi felt protected, even with the chaos around them. Still confused, she didn't know how to react. Taylor's refuge was a hidden cabin in the mountains, far away from the rest of the world. He knew her parents and her fiancé would come after her. If they found her, the wedding would proceed. When they arrived, Naomi was still in shock. The silence between them was thick, full of unspoken emotions. I know you're scared, but I couldn't let you marry someone you don't love, Taylor explained as he dismounted the horse. Still confused, Naomi took a few steps back, unsure of how to handle the situation. You're crazy. How do you think this will end? We can't just leave everything behind. I'm not asking you to run away, Naomi. I just want us to live the life we always dreamed of without fear, Without duties that aren't ours, Taylor said, approaching slowly, concerned about what she would do. Naomi began to speak, but her voice faltered. The tears finally fell, and the weight of all her decisions came crashing down on her. I don't know what to do, she said, her voice trembling. Taylor pulled her into his arms, and for a moment, she allowed herself to feel the peace she hadn't felt in so long. Her heart was torn between reason and desire, but his presence, the warmth of his embrace, was nearly impossible to resist. Even though she knew Taylor's actions weren't exactly right, something about him made her want to follow this path. How could Taylor stop the wedding that had no purpose? The days that followed were filled with tension and doubt. Naomi tried to pull away, but being near Taylor brought back the love she had been trying to bury. He was patient, waiting for her to see what they both already knew. One night, as they sat by the fireplace, Naomi finally let the truth come to light. Taylor, she began, her voice low and shaky. I tried, I really did. I wanted to believe that my duty was more important than what I feel for you. But I couldn't. From the moment I saw you again, I realized I never stopped loving you. Taylor looked at Naomi with an intensity that seemed to pierce through her soul. The words he had longed to hear were finally spoken. Then why keep fighting this? He asked softly. We both know we were meant for each other. Naomi moved closer, allowing all her fears and uncertainties to dissolve. Maybe your madness was the best choice, she admitted with a shy smile. If it weren't for you, I would have spent my life with someone I could never truly love. Taylor smiled, a smile full of relief and joy. He pulled her close and kissed her with the passion he had held onto for so many years. In that moment, nothing else mattered. The world around them seemed to disappear. They were finally together, as they always should have been. The first days were intense. The escape, the shock, the fear of consequences. Naomi's family was furious, especially her parents, who couldn't accept Taylor in her life. They had dreamed of a different future for their daughter, with a marriage that would bring stability and a respected name. To them, Taylor was a threat to that future. The doors of Naomi's family home were closed to her and Taylor, and the tension grew with each passing day. But Naomi was resolute. She chose to stay by Taylor's side, even knowing the price she might pay. The two faced difficult days, full of uncertainty and doubt, but the love between them was strong. Every challenge they overcame together only strengthened their bond. Taylor, with his determination and courage, refused to be shaken by the initial rejection. Months passed, and something began to change. Naomi's mother, always more attuned to her daughter's emotions, started to notice the strength of the love that bound Naomi and Taylor. Slowly, she convinced Naomi's father to reconsider the situation. He, reluctant at first, eventually gave in, realizing that his daughter's happiness was what truly mattered. Naomi and Taylor not only faced the scorn of their family, but also the critical gaze of society. Many questioned Naomi's choice, but she always responded with the same certainty: I chose love, not what seems right in the eyes of others. This firm stance and Taylor's determination to care for Naomi, even without the family's support, began to change the opinions of those around them. Over time, Naomi's father decided to give Taylor a chance. He began to see the young man differently, recognizing his loyalty, his character, and above all, the genuine love he had for his daughter. At a family dinner, after months of silence between them, Naomi's father finally extended his hand to Taylor, accepting him as part of the family. That gesture marked a new beginning. Family gatherings resumed, now with Taylor by Naomi's side, treated as part of the family circle. What once seemed an unbridgeable gap had now become a solid bridge, built through time, patience, and the true love they always shared. The journey wasn't easy, full of ups and downs, but the final victory was sweet. Naomi and Taylor had not only overcome the initial opposition from her parents, but also proved to everyone that true love always prevails. Now, with the family's blessing, they could look to the future with confidence, certain that, together, they could face any obstacle life threw their way. And so, the fate that once seemed to conspire to separate them finally brought them together for good. The road ahead would still have its challenges, but with family support and most importantly each other, Naomi and Taylor knew that anything was possible. They had not only won love but also the acceptance and respect of those who mattered most. The happy ending they had always wished for had finally arrived. If you enjoyed this emotional story and want to experience more adventures like this one, don't forget to leave your like and subscribe to the channel. That way, You won't miss any updates and can keep living these love-filled and emotional stories with us. Thank you for being here.